This is the Daily Night for Saturday, August 6, 2016. The Daily Night supports Making Biscuits Cat Rescue, a 501c3 charity. If you like this podcast, please consider making a donation or adopting a rescue cat at makingbiscuits.org. I'm your host, Gerardo San Diego, and this is a spoiler review of the Suicide Squad movie. If you absolutely loved the movie, you'll probably want to not listen to this podcast. All right, so, okay, as the crazy lady said, you've been forewarned. I'm actually in a good mood today. Those of you who are watching the video version, I'm actually simultaneously recording an audio using Audacity and a video using my HD camcorder just to test. I'm hoping to be able to record both audio and video at the same time. So, and those of you who are watching the video version on YouTube, forgive the black background while I'm wearing a black T-shirt. I didn't realize how dark it looks. It's I'll probably put a maybe a red or maybe even a white background next time. The background is there's gonna be like print on it, so I'm planning on that. Again, this is just the sort of a beta test of the video version. I finally, after months of trying to figure out how to set up a video setup to shoot YouTube videos while I'm also recording the audio version on a decent microphone, because I don't want to just try to talk directly to the camcorder mic. The sound quality just isn't as good. I've spent probably months trying to figure this scenario up, so hopefully it works. Hopefully I get some kind of recording quality, good ones out of it. But speaking of quality and all the problems related to producing a quality program, relatively speaking, Suicide Squad. When I saw it on Friday, I had a really long day on Friday. The first day that it came out, August 5, 2016. I had a really long day, and I figured, I'm just going to go to the theater, get myself some popcorn and soda, and just sit in the back of the theater and just enjoy this movie. If it's just mindless fun, fine. As long as I get some decent action scenes and explosions and just, characters having fun and a couple of laughs. Even with those expectations, the movie fell short for me. Again, for those who absolutely love the movie or even think they like the movie more than they hated it, or they think that they can forgive the movie for some of its shortcomings, you may not want to listen to this podcast, because I'm going to... all those forgivenesses that I've been allowing past movies to, it's like, oh yeah, okay, Batman vs. Superman theatrical cut, it had good points. It was more of an art piece than it was a cohesive narrative, etc., etc. And then what else came out? Fantastic Four, pretty much a consensus was it just didn't work. The big one was the Spider-Man, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man 1 and 2. I also, when I talk to people about it, oh yeah, it's got some good points, it's got some bad points. It's like, okay, I'm done doing that. Again, forgive me, but it's for, especially for Suicide Squad. I hate picking on this movie, but it's $175 million to produce this thing. And when I gripe about it, it isn't directed only to David Ayer, the director, or the cast. My gripe is gripes are directed to the whole group of them, the group of producers, filmmakers, the movie studios, the executives, the marketing department, the costume designer, whoever, the team that made this $175 million movie that is currently getting, I think it was like last time I checked, it was 26% on Rotten Tomatoes. And those of you who think that Rotten Tomatoes doesn't matter, it's basically an aggregate of all the critics around the world, or at the very least America, and their opinions regarding any movie. So Rotten Tomatoes, I've seen other podcasts say this. Rotten Tomatoes do not themselves criticize movies. They are not movie critics. It's like when you upload photos to the cloud doesn't take the photos. The cloud just stores the photos that you give it, right? Or Google Drive or Apple, like iTunes, right? You can't blame iTunes if you watch a terrible movie because iTunes did not produce the movie. Same thing with Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes takes all the critic reviews everywhere, whoever registered for Rotten Tomatoes, and they get an aggregate score. It's basically in financial terms, if you want to compare it with the finances, it's like the Dow Jones stock index or the Standard & Poor's S&P 500 or the NASDAQ, okay? The Dow Jones is not a stock. The Dow Jones is not a company that determines whether stocks go up and down. The Dow Jones simply takes 30 stocks from 30 of the biggest companies in the world and creates an index. And that index we use to measure how good or bad those 30 companies are doing. And because those 30 companies are 30 of the biggest companies in the world, they are a good indication of what the rest of the other companies in the world are doing. Same thing with Rotten Tomatoes. So don't blame Rotten Tomatoes on it. That being said, Rotten Tomatoes is a 26% rating on Suicide Squad. And many people say that it's not fair, and I think it's right on. Out of every 100 people, 25 will like it, and about 75 will not like it. So my own personal score on it, I'd give it a 5 out of 10 stars or whatever points. So, okay, now this is why. If I had never seen any movie ever in my life, or if I had seen only a very limited number of movies. Cut. I gotta take a drink. That's karma for you. Haha. No, it's just I have the AC on right above me, and it's giving me dry air. Okay, so where was I? I was on my way to bashing Suicide Squad. Here's a perfect example, especially if the movie was made on like a $10 million budget, and it was, just people having fun, putting in a movie, okay, fine. But you had an army of people. You had literally thousands of people making this movie, and you had big names starring in the movie. To produce a piece of film like they showed at the theaters, I think is number one, for people who are paying to see this movie, you're not giving them good value for their money. Number two, for people who are taking their time away from their day, the average person, not like really young people with a lot of time to just hang out and all that stuff, but older people like me who have errands and chores and all the other, dependents depending on us and work to do, and we got to make money, make a living. 2 hours out of our lives on any given day needs to be spent wisely. And if For example, when I saw Star Trek Beyond, I'm going to do another review on that later on. Star Trek Beyond was a good investment of my time and money. Suicide Squad in the theaters was not. I think if I had seen it on cable, maybe at the end of the day, I'm vegging out. It's a free movie. I think, okay, that's fine. They got explosions and people kind of, it's like Expendables. The Suicide Squad reminds me of the Expendables movies. Okay, fine, I'm not going to go spend money at the theater doing that, watching it. So I subtitled this podcast Softening the Blows, where it's like, I'm not going to soften the blows. So, okay, now I'm wasted your time. See, this is what I just did is a bad example of not wasting your time. So forgive me. See, I'm saying it. So let me cut to the chase. I wrote a piece on Letterboxd talking about how I feel about this movie. And let me read this first, and then I'll talk about it, all right? So this is me trying to be a writer. It is assumed that filmmakers like movies. It is assumed that in their path to making themselves better filmmakers, they watch as many movies as possible. It is assumed that they learn from the great movies they watch, and they apply those techniques to the movies that they create. Watching Suicide Squad makes me wonder if its director, writers, and producers have watched many movies, especially action movies, like James Cameron's Aliens, or The Rundown with Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, or The Losers with Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Zoe Saldana, Raid Redemption, Blade, Captain America Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy, The Dark Knight, or psychological thrillers like Silence of the Lambs, Fatal Attraction, 9.5 Weeks with Kim Basinger and Mickey Rourke. I wonder if Suicide Squad's filmmakers expect their audience, those who will see Suicide Squad, to have never seen any of the above movies. I wonder if they are hoping that no one has ever seen any movie at all. I was kind of angry when I wrote this review, so bear with me. If you've never seen any of the movies mentioned, then you will probably enjoy Suicide Squad. But I've seen those movies, and this is why I consider Suicide Squad to be a movie that pretend shadows other movies, never claiming its own ground or finding its own voice, simply copying, sort of, and not even doing a good job at it. Introducing the characters as trading card heroes with superimposed neon lettering and digital art over film footage is a novel idea, but the way it's used in this movie feels half-hearted, misdirected, and unfocused. Just like using 24 different fonts in a Word document. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. It doesn't have the same cohesive feel as Iron Man Tony Stark's helmet readouts, the Jarvis and all that stuff, or as fun as the intro sequence in The Rundown, or in the end credits of the movie The Losers. In Suicide Squad, it feels as if they used the effect because they didn't have good enough film footage and needed to put some proverbial lipstick on a bland pig. Like bathing mediocre sushi in soy sauce with a tube full of wasabi, or adding a ton of icing to the surface of an otherwise dry and tasteless cake. Speaking of filmed footage, if you pay attention to most of the scenes in this movie, the camera angles, the points of view, the tracking shots or lack of them are neither inventive, unique, or even interesting, which is why it seems there is a continuous roll call of songs that everybody likes playing in the background. It's to drown out the blandness. And did you hear Norman Greenbaum's Spirit in the Sky? Spirit in the Sky. Da, 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 da. You know that one, okay. That's the same song played in Guardians of the Galaxy, a movie that did a much, much better job with its jukebox soundtrack than this one. In Guardians, each song accentuated each respective moment perfectly. I got to rewrite that sentence. It sounds kind of awkward. In Suicide Squad, it's a desperate misdirection from weak material. Basically, when they don't think they have good enough footage, throw a song in there. Put a lipstick on the bland pig. Oh, okay, now the characters. Will Smith's Deadshot is a dead shot. How do we know that? He uses a mirror to balance a sniper shot. Then he shoots perfectly aimed shots at metal targets until each single hole on each target melts from the repeat perfect shot. I'm kind of cool with that. In a James Bond movie, though, that's impressive. In a superhero movie, not so much. Hawkeye does the same thing, and look where he is on the totem pole. Good shot. Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn tries to be funny with that one line from that one trailer that we saw a few months ago. You know, that one where she bent over. Then she tries to be seductive with her pole and go-go dancing like Marissa Tomei in The Wrestler. For whatever reason, in my opinion, Marissa Tomei has earned her Aunt May hotness. Marissa Tomei. Margot Robbie just can't seem to get that kind of sizzle. Maybe because she's trying too hard. Maybe she just doesn't have it. Maybe it's just bad camera angles and lazy editing or a weak script. Now, let me interject here, go off the written material. I think Margot Robbie is drop dead gorgeous. I think she's just empirically good looking. But the way she conveys seduction and that something that you can't explain. In French, it's je ne sais quoi. It's a cliched French term, je ne sais quoi. You can't explain it. Marissa Tomei has it. There was another one. A bunch of French actresses. Catherine Deneuve has it. Oh God, I'm old. But she was, Raquel Welch has it. I don't think Margot Robbie has it. She was pretty good in Wolf of Wall Street, but that's the. I say if you want to see a great Margot Robbie performance, go see Wall Street. All right, back to the writing. Back to me reading my writing. Yeah, that's hubris for you. She also tries to be wiggy like Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction. Put a pair of glasses on a woman, and now she's the sane version. She also tries to scare us in the cage in the middle of the room like Hannibal Lecter. The setting is creepy, but there's not one OCD moment like turning the lampshade on and off, on and off, on and off. Not one mention of fava beans. Ugh. Okay. Harley Quinn had the absolute perfect opportunity. Okay, this is that one scene. Harley Quinn had the absolute perfect opportunity to deliver a smackdown, blow-us-away line when the helicopter crashed after rolling a dozen times, after it should have basically killed the Suicide Squad inside, after it finally stops and she finally saunters out, basically unscathed, smiling. And what she said at that moment was so bland that I can't even remember it. She just jumps down from the helicopter, like, oh, whatever she said. It was not memorable. You can probably Google it now, and somebody has written it. All right. Jared Leto's Joker. Sorry, girls. He was amazing in Dallas Buyers Club, just for the record. Okay, so Jared Leto's Joker tries to be a slinkier, smoother Heath Ledger, but his prosthetic teeth keep getting in the way. He tries to be not so menacing, like nuts. Not so menacing. He tries to be not so menacing with a disco undertone like John Travolta in Swordfish or Nicolas Cage in Face Off, but anything he says and does beyond his overwhelming makeup and tattoos feel like a letdown. There's never any subtlety, so there could never be any surprise. There's no pencil scene. Repeat, there is no pencil scene. You think that after spending $175 million on this movie, somebody could have come up with some kind of pencil scene, right? There's a pencil. Let me show you a trick. Pencil. You know who's freaking scary? Kaiser Soze. And he's a small, unassuming man with a limp. If you can make Kaiser Soze scary, if you can make, what's his name? House of Cards guy? Scary. Kevin Spacey, scary. Without putting any makeup on him. I wish they would have done it. Yeah. Let me go off the material right now. I was thinking about, imagine if they had made Suicide Squad with the same attitude and the same, almost exact script as The Usual Suspects. Imagine that. Dress them up, Harley Quinn, all that stuff. What is it? Captain Boomerang or whatever. Rick Flag, Deadshot. But instead of Fencer, you have Killer Croc. Or if you, instead of who was it, Finnerty, whatever the lead actor was, you have Harley Quinn, and then instead of Verbal Kint, you have the Joker. Just give him a name, and all of a sudden, when Verbal Kint becomes Kaiser Soze at the end of the movie, it's the normal looking guy becoming the Joker at the end of the movie, and it's a heist. Now imagine that. Imagine how, if you can take a script as tight as The Usual Suspects and as intriguing as it is, and put superheroes and or anti-superheroes comic books into that, I think it'd be amazing. So and you know, it's tight. It's going to be tight in terms of script. So all right, back to me reading my writing. Katana, even though it's a different actress, is basically the same samurai chick went from Sin City, or half the cast of Kill Bill, including Irma Thurman. Katana slices bad guys' heads off like Michonne from The Walking Dead. She's good with a sword, we get it. I don't think she even talked in the movie, did she? Okay, now, some of you will have issues with this paragraph. I'm being facetious. The three bearded Aussie-sounding guys wearing military gear with lots of pouches feel like those other bearded Aussie-sounding guys wearing military gear with lots of pouches from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or the bad guys from Jet Li's Kiss of the Dragon, or the bad guys from every other Jason Statham movie. Basically, all the bad guys from all these action movies that do a little bit of martial arts. And they got really long legs and combat boots, and they are really good kicking. And they always kind of look the same, you know? And they have an Australian accent. They don't do anything special except aim their guns and pull the trigger. One did use a boomerang, and that's why he's called Boomerang. Amanda Waller betraying everyone. Okay. By the way, this is totally spoiler. Spoiler. She takes the gun and just shoots her own people. Robert Redford did it in Captain America Civil War. The imposter president, did it in G.I. Joe. Another president who was also an imposter did it the same thing in X-Men Days of Future Past. Hillary Clinton, I'm kind of afraid of. Amanda Waller doesn't scare me. I think they just didn't spend enough time with expanding Amanda Waller, or making us put our faith in her first. At the very first shot, she already has that you're not supposed to trust me face. So it didn't surprise me that much when she shot her own people. And it's like, and a lot of people on the podcast are talking about, it's like, why did she shoot those people? Because they didn't have clearance. So why were they in the room in the first place if they didn't have clearance to be in the room? Right? And if she's going to be shooting everybody, she's going to wind up with nobody in there. And then if she does have people who she wouldn't shoot, why didn't she put those people in the room in the first place and save some bullets? Many rants. Okay. The one notable scene that I did like was when the Enchantress spirited herself away and returned with the Russian. I wrote Russian. I think it's like Iranian documents or something. Middle Eastern country. Top secret documents, and creeped the bejesus out of the top brass. That was a very cool. I kind of like that scene. It reminded me of Quicksilver's Pentagon scene in X-Men Days of Future Past. But that was it. Everything else felt like it had been done before and in a much better way. I'm talking about the whole movie. There isn't one line, one phrase from the script that I care to repeat or remember. There isn't one moment that represents the heart of the movie. I didn't feel any empathy or sympathy for any of the players. The movie feels like it took bits and pieces of good scenes and ideas from other movies and tried to reassemble them half-heartedly into a comic book movie. Been there, seen that. Been there, seen that. Been there, seen that. I've been there and I've seen that, and I've seen a whole lot better. How many? I hate to do the DC Marvel thing again, but Marvel has 13, 14 movies under its belt, and one or two or more of those movies have that sort of a similar formula, and they did it pretty good. And what you'd have to do is watch all these other movies that did it right or did it pretty good, even though it's not as good as what is done now. But if they did it in the past, go check out how they did it and then do the same thing or make it better if it's part of your script. All right? So, for the record, I didn't think they did the whole Star Killer base that good. All right? I know I'm going to forgive J.J. Abrams for that. Yeah, that's basically the Death Star 3 in The Force Awakens. But shh, don't tell anybody. So, been there, seen that, and better. Unless you've never seen any of the other movies mentioned. Unless your only gauge of excellence is this one movie, Suicide Squad. Then, if it is that case for you, if you've never seen any other movies or have seen a very limited number of movies or are... I know that young people are going to hate me. If you're young enough, and I was there, when I was younger, if you haven't seen that many movies, the movie that you watch right now will seem a whole lot better than when you will watch a whole bunch of other movies in the future. Believe me, there are movies now. There are movies that I saw when I was a kid thinking it was the best movie in the world, and now it wouldn't even make my top 200 list. So, so unless your only gauge of excellence is this one movie, Suicide Squad, then it's the best movie you will ever see until you see the next one and the next one and the next one. So I can understand where... So that's the end of my writing, me reading my writing in a hubris sort of way. I can understand where people, especially younger people, really like and love Suicide Squad because it's fun to watch. It's cool. It's got superheroes. It's got the comic book on the big screen. I can understand that. But at the same time, I'm not going to sugarcoat my criticism of it because I am afraid to hurt other people's feelings. And it's all, keep in mind, it's all subjective. What I say could be different from what you think, and that's okay. It's just my opinion, and I just feel like they could have done better. They could have tried harder. On some, when I talk about it with my friends, I say it felt like they were lazy about it. I don't know if they were lazy, if David Ayer, the director, just didn't know how to do it any better, or the bureaucracy came in, the cooks in the kitchen, the suits at Warner Brothers, and got their 2 cents in and took the uniqueness out of the movie, watered it down somehow, do more reshoots, and all of a sudden what worked and was edgy before, all of a sudden we got this tame, plain vanilla looking thing. So just like the camera angles, I wonder if the reshoots, he had really artistic angles, but at the same time, the end product is the end product. What we saw in the theater, what we paid our $6 on matinee day, or $6 on $6 Tuesday, all the way up to like $15 if you're watching it in 3D, or even more, $20 if you're watching it in IMAX 3D, really good seats per ticket. And then you got to pay for parking, or if you bring your family, you got the kids. Kids want some concession stand stuff, popcorn, hot dogs, soda. So you basically spend your time and your money, $50 to $75 for a family of 4 to watch this movie, and the movie is $175 million to produce, and you get a movie that should almost be like a TV movie episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm sorry to have to say that, but it just feels like it. So I don't know if, according to the director, they interviewed him and he said this is the final cut. He doesn't have any better versions, not unlike Zack Snyder's director's cut, the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman. This is it for the Suicide Squad. That's all we're gonna get. Maybe we're gonna get deleted scenes in the Blu-ray, in the home video version, but we have to judge the movie according to what we saw this week. And for those who are, for some reason, you stayed around and listened to my blather, um, I'll tell you a story. Okay, so I got my design degree from industrial design at Long Beach State, California State University, Long Beach. Um, and we would have exercises. They would assign us, give us assignments twice a week. For each class, you go home and you draw. You draw and you draw, you draw, you sketch, you draw. It was in product design, so we did products and ideations and rapid visualizations. So on like let's say a class is on Monday and Wednesday, 3 hours Monday, 3 hours on Wednesday. There's about 25 people in our class. At the beginning of every class, you take your sketch pad and all the drawings that you did before class started during the week, and you pinned it up onto the walls surrounding the classroom. So 25 students post like 10 drawings each, and the instructor will go to each set of drawings for each student. You have to sign your name so he knows who he's criticizing, and he would critique your sketches. It was the most brutal. If you didn't have thick skin before, you will have it after the criticism. After 4 years of this, you develop a thick skin and you don't take it personally. And it's either you whine and you cry and you quit the classes, or you force yourself to do it better so that you don't get criticized anymore. And if you do get criticized, it's not as harsh as the previous criticisms, because you actually took the advice of your instructor, or you studied other people designing better than you, and you applied those techniques, and you just drew more, or you designed more, you worked harder, you work harder. And I would like to apply this criteria to movies, especially these are over $100 million each movies, right? So it's way beyond a design student pinning up their drawings on the wall to be criticized. This is, it's a $175 million movie, and we shouldn't let it be mediocre. We shouldn't let it be bland. We should not allow it to get away with that. Guardians of the Galaxy did it great, and they had the similar budget. Why? They just push themselves. Who knows if the studios got in the way of Suicide Squad, just like they did Batman vs. Superman or Fantastic Four. So I don't know. But these people are not inexperienced, so they know what they're doing. And I just keep thinking we should have gotten a better movie. Unless maybe they want to make a movie that caters to those who don't want that good a movie. I don't know. All I know is I've seen a whole bunch of movies. I've seen every Marvel MCU movie. I've seen every DC movie. I'm that old. I saw the original Superman with Christopher Reeve back in, was it 77, 78. I saw Superman 2. Superman 3, I think that was with Richard Pryor. Spawn movies, The Crow. You name it, I've seen it. 90% of the time I saw it on the night it debuted with my friends when I was a teenager and into college, and we watched a whole bunch of movies when they came out first night. So having seen probably hundreds of movies now, and at least dozens of comic book movies, and hundreds of action movies, if not thousands, I remember scenes and I remember the techniques that they use to do certain things. And because my memory is not terrible, when I see it repeated in a film coming out now, I ask myself, did they see those other movies? The people who made this specific movie, and I don't like the reasoning. Well, it's like, well, every movie is original. Like, okay, so if I design, a logo that has a swoosh on it, the Nike logo, and somebody tells me, somebody already designed that Nike logo, and I'll tell them, well, you know what, that's my design. The Nike logo is my design. It's original. No, that's not gonna fly, man. That's not gonna fly. You're supposed to, as a designer, do your research, do your due diligence, and research all the designs as much as you can get your hands on. J.J. Abrams watches thousands of movies, so he knows when he's copying one of them. That's your job. And if you're going to copy a movie, fine, copy a movie. Improve on it. What is it Picasso said? Great artists copy, but the masters steal. So, and J.J. Abrams kind of did it with The Force Awakens. It's basically A New Hope. But it's okay because he applied his own technique to it. He applied his own voice and uniqueness to it, to where the plot is sort of like A New Hope, or the way the story flows. But it's $933 million in the domestic box office cannot lie, and was it 92% or 90%? I think it's up there on Rotten Tomatoes. So critics loved it, and the box office loved it. So J.J. Abrams is doing something right. Suicide Squad, it's probably going to make a ton of money. I think it's going to break $1 billion worldwide. It has enough attraction in terms of just a comic book movie with a lot of colors, and Harley Quinn is a good ambassador, and I think it's gonna make great amount of money. But in terms of the actual value, the product, the quality of the product that they're giving, I don't know. Sometimes dollars talk, and sometimes they don't in terms of timelessness. Who knows if we're even going to remember this movie 10 years from now. So let me take a drink real quick. All right, so let me see. I wrote some, besides that blah blah piece that I just read to you, I wrote some notes down before I started this podcast. Hopefully you can still, let me see, let me check where are we now? We're at 37-minute mark, and I've just been insulting a whole bunch of, I'm sorry guys. For those of you who really like the movie, I don't know why you're still listening to me, but I'm sorry. All right, so let's see. Okay. I wrote some notes down. See, I wrote some notes. Here's one of those phrases. If everything is good, then nothing is good. It's sort of a paraphrase from if everything is magic, then nothing is magic. If every comic book movie is fantastic, spectacular, gotta see it, 5 stars out of 5 stars, then what constitutes a bad comic book movie? There's got to be a bad comic book movie. It's going to be if Captain America Civil War, or Captain America the Winter Soldier, or like my favorite, or The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, is a 5 star out of 5 star. And then you say Suicide Squad is also 5 star, and Tank Girl is also 5 star out of 5 stars, and Conan the Destroyer is also 5 stars, and every other comic book movie is 5 stars. Then it's like, why even bother rating anything, right? And okay, you have fun. You had fun, fine, but there has to be another set of criteria to measure excellence. You put an engine and 4 wheels together, it's a car, but it's not a Ferrari. And anybody who says that this engine and 4 wheels is just as good as a Ferrari, and you got the Pininfarina team just using micrometers and calipers and whatever else they're doing, millions of dollars of manpower and labor and quality materials and research, and they produce this Ferrari. I don't know how you can compare that Ferrari with all that effort put into it into this fun little engine with four wheels. And I keep thinking, okay, I'm kind of going off on a tangent right now, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, if everything is wonderful, great, awesome, awesome is an overused word, I think. If everything is awesome, then nothing is awesome. So, what else? Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking. What's the future of Suicide Squad? I don't know. Uh, will they make another movie? I don't know. Will Will Smith come back from another movie? They're not mentioning that. Ooh, look at that. If I no, it doesn't matter. All right. Um, a perfect example: the Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield. They made two movies. They made three movies with Tobey Maguire, and then it kind of quieted down for a while, and then they rebooted it with Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man 1 and 2. Spider-Man 2 made a ton of money, but they decided not to continue with that series. And then Spider-Man got borrowed back by Marvel and appeared in Captain America Civil War. So I don't know if Suicide Squad is, Suicide Squad can't go back to Marvel because it isn't Marvel. It's already a DC. It can't go anywhere. So what are you going to do? Are you going to make another Suicide Squad 2 and take another chance if you don't rehaul the crew, or I don't know if it has left a bad taste in the mouths of critics? Are you going to take a chance at making a sequel that is also 26% on Rotten Tomatoes? So I don't know where Suicide Squad is going. Fantastic Four, there's talks of it maybe going back to Marvel. I don't know. And then another one is kind of going off on a tangent, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV show. If you've watched it, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I religiously watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think the first 3 seasons, and then I just kind of gave up on it because they were just going nowhere. They're kind of running in circles. But they introduced the Inhumans because the Fox company, Fox Productions, owns X-Men, the mutants. So the Inhumans are called, I forgot what they're called, Enhanced Humans or something like that. But the Inhumans is basically the Marvel Universe trying to resurrect the X-Men mutants sort of idea, but using Inhumans, the Terrigen Mist. And my opinion, don't have any sources for this. I keep thinking there were plans for the Inhumans movie. It was actually in the slot for Marvel Studios, coming out in like 3-4 years. Vin Diesel is supposed to be Black Bolt, and all of a sudden they've scrapped it. Supposedly it's on hold. They haven't gotten rid of the option entirely, but there is no set date or even a certain timeline for the Inhumans set of movies. So, and I keep thinking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had something to do with it, because the Inhumans are part of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, and the TV show just isn't doing good. It's a TV show, fine, but it just seems like, So, why is the video? I'm looking at the videotape right now, and it's like going into freaky mode. I don't know. The Enchantress is coming after me. So the Inhumans, I don't know if the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually hurt the chances of the Inhumans becoming its own movie with Vin Diesel as Black Bolt. That would be kind of cool, I think. I would love it. But, right now it's kind of gone. So, I'm kind of rambling. It's basically, how much time of yours have I wasted? 44 minutes and 15 seconds. So, that's it for this review. This is my kind of losing my mind critical review of Suicide Squad, the movie. I don't know, Chair. I'll probably have another podcast soon that talks about other aspects of Suicide Squad, the movie. I also really want to review Star Trek Beyond. I loved it, by the way. I think it's one of my top three Star Trek movies, up there with the Wrath of Khan, and I don't know either Undiscovered Country or The Voyage Home, or I don't know, some other Star Trek movie, but it's up there. It's if you haven't seen it yet, go see Star Trek Beyond. It's a great movie, and it feels like Star Trek. So, I think that's pretty much it. This is so, it's weird because when I am just audio recording, I'm just staring at the computer screen. I would toggle back and forth, looking at the Audacity program to make sure that it's still actually recording me, and it is right now. I just checked. But now I have this other camera in front of me, so I'm recording to the camera, but also recording into the audio mic. So it's I got to get used to it. So plus my background, if you watch the YouTube video, it looks like I'm in like a hocus pocus box. I'm wearing a black shirt because I figured the shirt I'm wearing. Oh, can't even see it on the video. It's got a skull on the shirt. I picked it up at like a red tag sale, and it's got like a skull something. I don't even know. It's one of these hot topic, trendy shirts that I bought on super discount. But I figured, okay, it's got a skull. It's kind of like Suicide Squad. I'll wear it for the Suicide Squad, Gerardo griping his ass off podcast. And then I put a black background, thinking, oh, okay, that's because black matches everything. And then now I look like if you green screen me, I'll just be like a floating, what do you call it? Disembodied. I'm the enchantor. So, all right, that's enough. Until next time. By the way, apologies for not having a fresh show in weeks, more than a month. Things got really super crazy busy with life and obligations and work. And I'm also doing a group podcast with a whole bunch of good people. And that's taking up my time because the logistics of that. I'm also the audio video setup guy for that one. But I'm hoping to get this stuff down, folks. I'm 43 episodes into the Daily Night, and I'm hoping once I get my setup okay, it's to where, it's kind of a consistent thing. I will be able to shoot more episodes consistently. So, you can find me on the Daily Night with a K. The Daily Night with a K. Yeah, the Daily Night. .net. The Daily Night with a K.net. See, I haven't done this in such a long time, I forgot the spiel. The Daily Night with a K.net. And more things brewing at geekswag.me. Geekswag.me. That's we make T-shirts and fun geek stuff. So if you'd like to help me out paying my bills, or actually, you know what, a lot of the money I make off of this stuff goes directly to supporting Making Biscuits Cat Rescue, which is a nonprofit. My friend runs it. You help kitties and you help support controlling overpopulation of cats. If you do some Googling on it, you'll see that there is always a problem with animal population. You have to control it. Spay and neuter, and make sure the animals don't multiply, or try to keep them from getting sick, because if animals get sick, people get sick. Everything's connected, folks, right? So, all right, it's getting late. It's a Saturday night. I need to take a nap or something. I need to veg out in front of the news. But until next time, this is Gerardo San Diego. You can find all the information on thedailynight.net, dailynightwithak.net. And I'm looking at the video right now, and everything around me except for my lit up face has disappeared. It looks freaky. Until next time, may the force be with you. Thank you very much.